Yo, what's going on guys? It's Leddy, yo, welcome to So Serious Gaming. And as most of you probably know by now, week 3 of the PTS started today. And yeah man, I'm really happy with the changes that I've seen to it, to be honest with you. Like, if you've seen my previous video, you'll see like the things I said needed to change and what they needed to be careful of, things like that. Well, it would seem that they've listened to the people that have been putting that out there, and those are the changes that they seem to have made, plus a bunch of other things as well that I honestly think are really good. And yeah man, I'm really hoping that, you know, this week's going to prove that at the very least the majority of these changes are going to work. I mean, obviously some of them may need tweaking, numbers may need to go up or down, that kind of thing, but where they're going with it is really good, and I'm really happy with it, because now they're giving the individual roles, be it DPS role, a tank role or a skill build role, they're all going to be viable, but they're all going to be viable in their own way, and you're going to have to make sacrifices in other places, and it's all going to be about squad composition now, which is really good. You're not going to see the skill spamming, things like that, and that was one of the big issues I had with like 1.5 and where 1.6 was looking to be headed, and it's nice to see that that's not what they're doing now. So I'm not going to go through all the changes. I'll put a link in the description to the patch notes, so you can go check them out for yourselves if you haven't seen them already. So I'm just going to go through the ones that stand out the most for me, and I think that will have the biggest impact on a lot of PvP situations, and some of the things that I feel perhaps people are more worried about, all that kind of stuff. So we'll get right into it. So one of the first things that they're changing is they're increasing the base health. Now I don't know exactly how much by. They've like the description that they gave kind of confused me a little bit, so I'm not really sure, but the base health is currently at 80,000. They're increasing that, so we'll see how that works out, but that shouldn't be a bad thing really. Give us a little bit more health, it gives you a little bit more to play with on your builds, I suppose. So, you know, we'll see how that works. I don't know. I mean, as far as I can see in 1.5, the health is fine, and I saw no real reason in the PTS to increase it, but you know, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, I'm not going to say it's a good thing, but obviously it's going to have a huge impact on PvP, so you know, that's why I wanted to mention that one. One of the big things I'm really happy about is the medkit cooldown has been reduced back down to 12 seconds from 15 seconds. Now, some people might say 3 seconds isn't that much, but when you're in a combat situation, it really is. Like, that 3 seconds is literally the difference between getting a heal and dying. There's so many times where if my cooldown was what it used to be on my medkits, like, I wouldn't die, but I do, and it'd be nice, you know, especially when you're playing solo. It's gonna make solo play that little bit more viable again, because one of the issues in solo play that I find is the medkit cooldown. It doesn't quite cool down quick enough, and when you've got, you know, multiple people focusing you, it'd be nice to be able to have that chance to pop your medkit, proc critical save, proc tenacious, and you know, you can take a bit of damage, you deal more damage, and you probably take one of them out, you know what I mean? And you know, you can't really do that at the moment because DPS tank meta and heals taking so long to cool down. Yeah, it kind of sucks. One of the other things as well, now obviously I didn't play the PTS, I haven't played the PTS, but one of the things I really didn't like the idea of was not being able to sprint whilst reloading. That idea just sucked. I felt like it would break the flow of the gameplay, especially, you know, how we've all gotten used to it. The game's been out for pretty much a year now, and we've all got used to running around and reloading and things like that, so that would be a huge change to gameplay, and I just think it would break like the flow of everything and how people like to play and all that kind of stuff. So they've put it back. You can now reload whilst you sprint, which again, I'm happy that they've gone back to that, so that's good. All damage resilience they've capped at 60%, so you're not going to be able to stack it too high, but it's still going to stack high enough so you can make it ultra effective. And I think the best way to use all damage resilience would be if you have like a tank build on your team. He can obviously go into stamina, health, and all damage resilience, and he can tank like the turrets and all that kind of stuff and take out the skills, you know what I mean? And I think that's going to be a really good way to go with that. Provident has had a hefty nerf. Now deals 10% more damage instead of the original 60%, so it's a huge nerf, but I kind of think it needed to happen, especially when you look at the fact, you know, people would, you know, use it on Alpha Bridge and things like that. It really needed to happen. So it is what it is. It's still going to be effective. 10% is a huge deal, especially when you think if you've got like an M700 or M44 hitting like 140k or 150k, 10% still big. You know, it's like an extra 15,000. So, you know, it's a big deal still, and you can't complain at an extra 15k in base damage. So, you know, it's still helpful, but it's not OP. The Seeker gear set has been completely removed. That's going to they're going to have another stab at that at a later date. I'm kind of disappointed it's not going to make it, but they said that it just wasn't fun to use, and you know, the idea that they had just wasn't working, and they just couldn't get it to work properly. So they've scrapped it for now, and they're going to come back and look at it at a later date, which is disappointing. But if it doesn't work and it's broken, I'd rather them keep it out and work on it another time than put it in and it be broken and just ruin the game. So I'm kind of glad that they did that. In week 2, you may have seen that they reduced the support station range. They have now increased that because the support station range in week 2 was just too small, and people were just kind of fighting in a really tiny circle. And the engagements just, you know, people were saying the engagements weren't fun and things like that. So they've increased the range on the support station, but to help balance it a little bit, because as you probably saw before, the range on the support station could get really huge, and that was partially because of the Reclaimer's 3-piece. So they've reduced the bonus, the 3-piece bonus on that, to give you an additional support station range of only 30% instead of the 50%. So 30% is still going to be a big increase, but again, it's not going to be overpowered, it's not going to be insanely huge and, you know, just cover half the city, but pretty much. Like, it was ridiculous, like the range on it, but it's still going to be nice. It's still going to give you a nice big range, it's going to give you a nice big circle, but it's not going to be too big, so that's good. Now, one of the things that you probably would have seen me mention in my previous video, if you've seen it, was how skill power, you know, the higher your skill power, the faster cooldown you get. And that kind of broke the balance, and that is what's been creating this whole skill spam fest that's sort of been plaguing console. I don't think it's been happening on PC, because I've not seen PC players talk about it so much. But on console, there's this really big thing now. You have teams that are just spamming turrets and seeker mines over and over and over again. And it's literally like every 5 seconds they're throwing them down, and that's because they're stacking really high skill power, which is giving them stronger skills, but they're also cooling down a lot faster as well. So now they'll no longer improve your cooldowns. Instead, what they want to do is push for skill haste to be used in order to speed up your cooldowns. Which makes sense, because let's be honest, who uses skill haste? I don't use it. I've never used it because, you know, my skill power has been bringing it down, and it just didn't really have a use. So now they've made it where if you want to have fast cooldowns, you need to stack into skill haste, which makes sense. Also, one of the other things I mentioned, which was Marco Styles' idea, was that if you have a lower skill power, you have a slightly faster cooldown, and if you have a higher skill power, you have a slightly longer cooldown. Now, that also fits into the fact that they wanted to stop with the skill spam thing, but also you have to take in mind, right, if you have really low skill power, your heal is going to be really weak compared to somebody who has really high skill power. And, you know, they're going to go from no health to full overheal pretty much because of their really strong heal, but their heal currently cools down like every 5-10 seconds or whatever it might be. So, you know, they're getting really strong heals, and they're getting it like constantly over and over again. Whereas your heal is really weak and it's taking really long to cool down. You see where the balance issue is there. Like, you're getting a weak heal and it's taking you a minute to get it, whereas the other guy's got a really strong heal and it's taking him like 15 seconds or whatever, you know, whatever it might be depending on the cooldown, the skill power, you know. So it makes sense in that aspect. It kind of creates a balance where if you have a really weak heal, you're going to get it more regularly. Which makes sense, because you're getting a weak heal, your health's going to go down quicker again, so you get your heal back quicker again. It gives you that extra little bit of survivability, and again, from a solo aspect, that's going to be really helpful, because you know most solo players are probably going to stack into a balance between DPS and toughness. So it'd be nice, they're not going to have the biggest heal in the world, so it'd be nice if they could have a better cooldown time, so that, you know, they can use it a bit more often and have that extra little bit of chance in surviving. So that makes sense, and I'm really happy that they've done that, and we'll get to see over the next few days how that pans out, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that works. Fingers crossed it does. The skill haste cap has been reduced from 60% to 50%, so that's not a big deal, but I think again the reason they've done that is just to ensure that people don't stack, you know, if they stack skill haste, it's not going to create that skill spam fest. So again, you know, there's a good reason for it, and I'm glad to see it, and fingers crossed it works, and you know, it doesn't make skill power like where it's kind of useless, which I don't think it will, because like I say, the skill itself is going to be really strong, and if you're stacking to skill haste on top of that, you're going to be able to get decent cooldowns. You're just not going to be able to spam it, which is good, you know, because at the end of the day, it is still a shooter. It's an RPG, but the game is still a shooter, so it shouldn't be a case of who can get the Seeker Mines the quickest and just, you know, drop them over and over again, which is kind of what the game is on 1.5 on console right now, and it is what week 2 of the PTS was. So I'm really glad that they've done that. First aid has been buffed by 15%, so you're going to get a better heal across all the first aids. Booster shots damage mitigation has been decreased by half, so it no longer mitigates 15% of the damage, it now only mitigates 7.5% of the damage. Again, this is kind of to stop people stacking up all the different talents and whatever else in order to get really high toughness, because you could pop critical save and booster shot and even on the move, and you know, you could be pushing 3 million. I can get nearly 4 million. I've seen over 4 million toughness procced when they've got all these different damage resistance buffs stacked up, so I'm really glad to see that. Seeker Mines, like the bane of my existence right now in 1.5. I'm so glad to see these changes. Seeker Mines are getting a pretty big hit, but it's not going to make them, again, it's not going to make them useless. They're still going to be useful, and if you're stacking really high skill power, they're still going to hurt like hell, but they're going to be, like they're intended, there should be a support role. So Seeker Mine Stagger has been removed from the cluster mines. The explosion damage has been reduced from each mine, but the bleed damage has been increased, which makes sense. So it's not going to be a case of the Seeker Mine hits you and it's going to blow you to holy hell. It's going to hit you and it's going to do a lot of damage, but you're still going to be able to survive it. However, the bleed damage is going to hit you even harder, so you know, if you haven't got the heal, it could still potentially kill you. So it's balanced, but again, it stopped them from being OP, which I'm really glad to see, and I'll be interested to see how that works. And also to fight the spam fest of Seeker Mines, because like I say, at the moment, like, people are dropping them every 5 seconds in 1.5. That's ridiculous. Like, one hit Seeker Mine every 5 seconds is insane. The cooldown has been increased by 17%, so it's going to take 17% longer than it does currently. That's the base cooldown, of course, so if you're stacking skill haste, that's going to start to bring down the cooldown time for it, so you can, again, you can counter it a little bit that way. Turrets. Again, turrets are insane at the minute, because you look at the health on some of the turrets and it has more health than, you know, pretty much a full team combined, which is insane how much damage they can take. So the turret health's been reduced by 25%, which I think is really good. It needed it because they can be a little bit too hard to take down. Skill power will no longer impact on the health of the turret either. So again, that would mean you would have to try and stack into like performance mods for it to increase the health. Oh sorry, I got that wrong. It's skill power. The impact of skill power on health has been reduced. My apologies, I got that one wrong for a second there. Yeah, so the more skill power you have, it will still impact on the health, it just won't have as big an impact on its health as it does right now, which again is really good, because you know, your skill power is still going to, it's still going to make it worthwhile using a turret, and it's still going to make it stronger, but it's not going to be, you know, pushing on for 1,000,000 health or 800k health or whatever it might be. And the range has been reduced from 35 to 25 meters, which I'm actually quite happy to see, because you look at the range on some of the flames right now and they're like a half block down there. Like, it's insane how far they go. So those are the main changes, those are the ones that really stood out to me, they're the ones that I'm like really happy to see. There is a lot more changes, I don't want to make this video too long, so like I say, I will put a link in the description to the patch notes, so you can go check out the full list if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, I'm really happy to see these changes, and I'm really happy to see how fast Massive turned it around. Like I said in the last video, because people were in a frenzy last week, and like I said, calm down, this is a test, you know, this is for them to test and gather numbers and all that kind of stuff, so just give them chance. You know, they're going to tweak things this week, well next week, I said next week, which is obviously this week, and the week after, and obviously as a by release, you know, these things will probably be balanced out. And look what they've done already, like pretty much everything people were really scared of last week, they've gone and they've changed and they've tried to balance it. And I think now this is a really good direction for the game from the looks of this, and I'm super happy. The new DZs look really good. Last Stand looks a lot of fun. The Incursion, now I've never been a fan of the Incursions, like I've played them just to play them, just to say I've gone through it, I've done it on challenging, I've done it on heroic, whatever, you know, I've just done it for the sake of that. But I don't enjoy them, I don't like playing them, I find them extremely boring. The new Incursion looks really good, because it looks like it still has that Incursion feel where you're kind of fighting waves in an area, but it has the flow of a mission at the same time, because you're going from area to area to area, you know what I mean? And it just looks really good. I think it's going to be interesting, and the way they've set it out is, it is really going to require some seriously good teamwork, and I just think that's awesome. Like, it looks so much fun, and I just wish that my new PC was a little bit more powerful so I could play it, but it's cool. We'll give it time, and I'll upgrade it so I can get on PC and start playing for the you know, through the PTSs and things like that. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Like I say, this is just the things that stood out to me, the things that I was happy about, some changes that I didn't expect. But I'll put a link in the description, check out the full patch notes, because there's some other ones in there that are really good. Yeah, drop your comments below, guys. Let me know what you think of the changes. Do you think they work? Do you think they don't? Do you think they work but they need a bit of tweaking? Any of that stuff. Is there some changes that they haven't done that you'd like to see? Anything like that, let me know, because I try and message them, you know, whether they read it or not I don't know, but you know, I message it to them, and hopefully, you know, the feedback that I give them, the feedback from you guys that I give them, hopefully, you know, if they do read it, it has an impact, you know, who knows. But I'll try my best either way, guys, so make sure you drop the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you in another video. Peace out.